This is a story how I walked my first El Camino in a regular everyday jeans. My name is Artur and you are watching Pilgrim Stories. So it was 10 years ago, in 2016, when I was 21-year-old and preparing for my first El Camino de Santiago experience. Back then, money was not big, so I was doing everything, and I was not like earning very much, like sometimes 50 euros for a job, but every euro was counting, right? And back then, one of my colleagues, she had done El Camino, and she was giving me like advices and tips, what kind of equipment to buy and how to prepare for it and everything. Back then I was reading every information I could get on Camino. There were like a lot of tips how to do it and what kind of boots you need, what kind of jacket you need, what kind of backpack you need. Like I said, 21-year-old, every euro count. So I had to be very picky. I was made to be very picky to what kind of backpack I'm buying or what kind of pants or whatever. Back then I remember that I had this feeling that the two important things equipment-wise is backpack and boots. So me and my friend who I was doing and preparing for Camino together, we bought the same backpacks actually. I think it cost like 130 euros something. The brand is the Penguin, and we actually got the discount in the shop. So it was quite a deal, right? And for the boots, I remember that I bought La Sportiva and it cost me like 200 euros if I remember correctly. Combining all these expenses, like there was no more money left for my equipment, right? That was it, like a backpack and boots. Of course I had some like what I bought, like this head flashlight and something else, maybe this spork. But yeah, that was it basically. So, and my colleague who did the Camino, she gave me advice to buy a really good hiking pants. And because if it will rain, then my pants will get wet. But with these kind of pants that are made for these kind of hikes, they can endure like the heavy rains and cold and everything. And I was like, yeah, that's actually a really good idea. So I went to the shop, the same shop where I bought my Las Sportivas. I checked on those pants and they costed like 150 euros or even 200. And I was like, I would really like to buy them, but I can't afford them. So, and I was thinking to myself, I will figure something out. I don't know, I will find cheaper pants. But I didn't. When the day where we had to leave was coming closer, I realized that I actually haven't figured out anything about the pants, like what I'm gonna wear. So, and I was packing my backpack and I was thinking, what the hell, like I can't just walk in like bare legs, right? So I figured, hey, like whatever, I will just bring my jeans. They're comfortable, they're baggy, so what else, let's go. I went to my first El Camino with just a regular everyday jeans that I at that time was wearing on everyday basis, and it was good. Surprisingly, it was really good. Of course, I could feel like how the friction sometimes goes against my leg, and they are heavy, like it's jeans, the material is heavy by itself. So yeah, but it was working, right? And I was walking, and I did my first El Camino in these jeans, and I think it's funny, but the thing that I realized about El Camino, and when I was preparing for it, not only equipment-wise, but also mentally-wise, like reading every kind of information that I could get on, I read something about that El Camino for each pilgrim is different. Like we experience different things, feel different things, learn different things, and even if we're walking together with someone, the El Camino for each of us is not the same. It's different. And at that point in 2016, 10 years ago, I was in this phase of my life where I was trying to figure out myself. Back then it was really hard because I thought that I'm falling back because all my ex-classmates were doing universities and actually finishing them and thinking about taking the next step in their careers. And I was still like trying to figure out what to do, and I was jumping from one project to another, seeing how everyone else is doing their thing and you are not doing the same thing as they are. Sometimes you feel a bit lonely and maybe judging yourself and not being very confident about what you are doing. The one thing and the most important thing that my first El Camino taught me, and I'm bringing this lesson with me since then, is that El Camino for each of us is different, and so is the life. If you have read something about El Camino, or if you have watched some kind of videos and experienced stories about it, I'm pretty sure someone have mentioned this, that El Camino is like a simulation for life. In some future videos I will get into that and will share my experiences about it and my thoughts. But 10 years ago I was reading the same thing, that El Camino is a simulation for life. And when I finished my first El Camino, at the end I was thinking about this simulation theory, how El Camino is the life and how it is different for each of us, the El Camino. And I realized that not even El Camino is different for each of us, but also the life, the El Camino of our lives. For me it was like epiphany, right? It was like mind-blowing. And maybe for someone who's listening this right now, it seems like well, it makes sense, right? It's very logic. Like we all are different and we are born in different places with different possibilities, opportunities, and our characters are different, and our like cultural educational background is different. So all of these aspects combined makes you like a unique person. So that makes that your path of life should be different, right? Very logical. But when you are trying to figure out yourself and when you're trying to figure out what to do and you're still learning, these kind of lessons, they don't come as quick for some than it does for others. And again, it makes sense because we all learn some stuff quicker than others, and vice versa. Someone learns something quicker than us, and that's just life, right? Another thing that I realized when I was preparing for my second El Camino, again, I was listening all these experiences and tips and tricks, what to do in El Camino, how to get prepared for it. Very important thing that I have realized about El Camino, it doesn't matter if you do El Camino in regular everyday jeans, or if you're buying very expensive hiking pants, or are you doing it only in shorts or whatever, or in leggings. It doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter if you're buying very expensive boots, or are you buying like sandals, or are you buying like running shoes or whatever. And someone will say to you that, hey, these are more like suited for El Camino and for this kind of hikes. And I'm sure that for them it really is, but it's like advice for them because it works for them. But for someone else, probably it will work and probably it will not. And for me, this tip that I should buy these very expensive hiking pants, it was not for me. This advice was not for me because the jeans were doing the job. And the thing that is very important to understand is that on El Camino, it doesn't matter in what kind of boots, pants, shirts, hats you are walking. And why I'm saying this is because if buying very expensive pants is holding you from actually doing El Camino and walking it is wrong and it's not needed, because you can do it also in jeans. And maybe those 200 euros or dollars are more thoughtful spent on El Camino as itself, for food, water, or plane ticket there, or train ticket, whatever. I understand that there can be discomfort if you are walking it in jeans. Of course, there will be, and there could be, but maybe not. Maybe it will be all fine. And it really depends on what kind of experience you need to get on El Camino. And that's something that you will not know until you get there and experience it. So my advice when someone is asking me about the equipment, don't spend so much money on the equipment if that holds you from actually doing El Camino. If you have the inner calling to go and walk, then do anything that is in your power to actually get there. And if seeing all these expenses on equipment is holding you back, then don't do it. Then figure it out how to do it cheaper. Like maybe you don't have to spend so much money on it. Like for example, on my first Camino, I bought those 200 euros La Sportivos. And La Sportiva is a great brand, right? Great boots. Actually, I did 2 Caminos with them. But my friend, he bought way more less expensive running shoes from outlet shop, and he did El Camino very fine. Like he did not get any blisters at all. And I actually, with my very expensive boots, got so many blisters that it was very, very painful. It hurted so much. If you will need to experience blisters, then there will be no way how to avoid that. Because even in blisters, there are lessons if you are doing El Camino de Santiago. So that's it about equipment. This is my quick story about how I did my first El Camino in jeans and why it is not so important what kind of and how expensive pants you have on. If you have some kind of story like this, where you were receiving some kind of advice like what you need or should or must do in El Camino and how you must do it, but you were being rebellious and doing your own thing because you couldn't afford that or you didn't feel that you actually need that, please share that story in comments. I would really glad to read these kind of stories. So yeah, my name is Artur. Welcome to my YouTube channel. For now on, I'm gonna share my experiences and stories about El Camino de Santiago. I've done El Camino 4 times in the past 10 years, and it have been amazing experience. I'm at the moment writing my book about El Camino. The second draft is nearly ready, so I'm hoping that this year I'm gonna release this book. Thank you for watching, subscribe. Hopefully I'm gonna see you here watching my stories about El Camino, and yeah, share, subscribe, send it to your friends, and yeah, see you here and see you on the way. Buen camino, pilgrims.